The economy and inflation ate Joe Biden's presidency alive, and now it is eating Donald Trump's presidency alive. I mean, just take a look here. Net approval rating on the economy. You go back to this point in the Joe Biden presidency, he was 19 points underwater. You go into Donald Trump's presidency, hey, he started off in the positive territory at plus 6 points. But down he goes, down the slide into the ocean he goes, negative 20 points. Donald Trump is actually in slightly worse position right now in the economy than Joe Biden was in this presidency. And of course, Joe Biden, as I said at the top, the economy ate his presidency alive. And right now, it is eating Donald Trump's presidency alive.
What's up, everybody? Major retired Richard Ojeda here, and the dollar is crashing, gold is spiking, and unemployment is at the highest rate it's been in a decade. One of the best economies under Joe Biden to a floundering failure under Donald Trump.
The run-up in precious metals has gotten added rocket fuel since President Trump announced his widespread tariffs back in April. This week alone, he's threatened new levies on Canadian and South Korean imports. A possible government shutdown is looming. The Senate has until midnight this Friday to pass the $1.3 trillion spending package to fund the government. Senate Democrats are now saying they will not vote to fund the Department of Homeland Security without restrictions for immigration enforcement, which could torpedo the entire bill.
The U.S. government is the biggest reason that gold is at a new all-time record high. The dollar today, the dollar index is at a 4-year low. Against the Swiss franc, the U.S. dollar is at an all-time record low today. Consumer confidence just plunged to a 12-year low. And as you said, gold is at an all-time record high. So, Trump is trying to sell the U.S. economy as, the hottest in the world. But according to consumers and investors, it is the coldest in the world. If you had to grade the economy, you'd have to give it an F.
Susie Wiles says Trump will campaign like he's on the ballot in 2026, making appearances every week until Election Day. The White House is treating the midterms like a referendum on its economic record. Still, voters say the middle-class lifestyle is slipping out of their reach, and it has been for quite some time.
Many Americans have lost their jobs, savings, health care, and hope for a better future for their children. We've gone from stability to volatility, and regular Americans are paying the price. And so many of those suffering are in poor red states, the very people who fell for Donald Trump's lie that he was going to lower grocery prices and end all the wars his first day in office.
On balance, looking at the entirety of the president's second term so far, you approve or disapprove of what this administration has done since it took over in January? By a show of fingers, who approves? Got Ashley? Just one of you. And who disapproves? By a show of fingers, who's seen significant increases in prices this year for things you buy regularly?
They fell for all of his golden age BS and sent him money, hung Trump flags from the rafters and dressed up in his made-in-China merchandise, and ran around screaming, what about Obama and what about Biden, and labeling whatever they did like as woke DEI. It's dumbfounding how conservative MAGA men are so submissive to male authority figures like Trump, even though he continues to break his promises and let them down. It's almost like they've somehow used to being let down and disappointed and are okay with it. If ignorance, entitled arrogance, cigarette smoke, and body odor were a cologne, these folks are wearing it.
We just got good numbers on durable goods. We've had pretty solid numbers. I mean, granted, consumer sentiment is very iffy depending on the month. But Peter, people's incomes are pretty solid. We're starting to see some real gains in productivity. So call it the coldest.
We're not seeing that, Liz. Unfortunately, the numbers are not accurate. They're highly skewed. They're going to be revised, and a lot of it is being influenced by inflation. Inflation is going to be much more pernicious over the next few years than it was when Biden was president, unfortunately.
But even these die-hard cult members are starting to wake up from their delusional slumber. That whole rallying cry about the price of eggs and gas has since fizzled out and left them in a worse predicament than they thought they were in under Joe Biden. And what's even more surprising is that a lot of them are admitting the error of their ways and putting the blame where it belongs, on Donald Trump. That has Donald Trump stewing in his own dirty diaper, and he's not happy about it at all. Are Americans better off now than they were 4 years ago? You know, when the economy was stable, jobs were easier to find, markets were steady, and the United States was trusted around the world. Well, according to economists and the latest polling, the answer is a resounding no. And while Donald Trump is out here tooting his own horn, telling us we're entered some so-called golden age, the truth has been laid bare. His approval ratings are in the gutter, Americans are watching their 401ks sink, and the value of a dollar slide. And the economy is wobbling. And one of the biggest red flags is being completely overlooked. Gold. Because economists have been very clear about this. When gold spikes like this, it's not celebration, it's a confidence, it's flight. It's a huge red flag. When gold and silver surge while the dollar falters, it's a signal that people are running from instability, an emergency warning that something is very wrong underneath the surface. That's the part too many people are missing. And that's what makes this all kind of suspicious, is this. Remember a few months ago, Donald Trump casually joked about going with Elon Musk to Fort Knox to check whether all the gold was still there? Now, I'm not accusing anyone of anything, but when gold is screaming danger, when confidence of the dollar is cracking, and when leaders start making jokes about the nation's gold reserves, it raises a question. Is Trump planning a gold heist? Because Trump has a habit of letting things slip. He brags, he boasts, he circles the damage he causes, like an arsonist returning to the scene of a fire, taking pictures and giving interviews. And when you put all of this together, crashing confidence in the dollar, soaring gold prices, collapsing approval ratings, and reckless delusional talk, it doesn't sound like a golden age. It sounds like a warning that we all need to address before it's too late. And here's the bigger picture that Donald Trump and his corrupt administration cannot outrun. According to the polling, he's losing support at home, not just with independents, but with his own base. His approval ratings are underwater, scraping bottom, lower than the lowest whale turd at the deepest point of the ocean. The illusion is cracking, the loyalty is fading, and Trump knows it. It's past time to remove this traitorous buffoon from office. Donald Trump is spiraling out of control. He's also losing something very important, confidence from the rest of the world. Donald Trump thinks he's the biggest bully on the playground, that he can shove allies around, basically threaten partners, tear up agreements, and demand loyalty while subverting the Constitution, undermining the rule of law, and trying to install himself as a strong man. But instead of fear, he's facing resistance, the most sustained resistance of his entire life. Here at home, Americans have had enough. The killings of Renee Nicole Good and Alex Preddy in Minneapolis lit a fuse on top of years of cruelty, chaos, and economic pain. Add social unrest, collapsing trust, and a brutal agenda that punishes ordinary people, and the result is predictable. People are in the streets. They're done being lied to. They're done being told that this is somehow normal. And while Trump is losing support among his base, he's also alienating the very allies the United States has relied on since World War II. The partnerships that help build global stability and prevent catastrophe. Institutions like the World Health Organization, the United Nations, NATO, and the Paris Agreement. All things Donald Trump thinks America doesn't need anymore. But the world sees what he is doing. World leaders understand that Trump has aligned the United States more closely with the vision and interests of Vladimir Putin than the 250 years of democratic tradition. They see the pattern, they see the chaos, and they know he's willing to burn down alliances, economies, and institutions to avoid accountability. This isn't strength, it's desperation, and it is absolutely pathetic. It's the same narcissistic cycle of abuse. Lie, dominate, blame, escalate, repeat. When the lie stops working, the cruelty increases. When accountability looms, the damage spreads outward. First to victims, then to institutions, then to an entire country, and now to the world. That's why the resistance isn't just here at home. It's global. Allies are pulling away. Markets are hedging. Confidence is collapsing. The gold spike, the polling, the protests, they're all symptoms of the same thing. People have had enough, and that's where this ends. If the government is not going to end this madness, it's going to be up to the people to do it. This is where we are now. This isn't just about an economy in free fall or a president in panic. This is about whether the American experiment survives. They're coming for free speech. They're coming for due process. They're attacking the very idea that ordinary people have rights that can't be taken away. They want to turn the promise of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness into a fairy tale, something we've told about but never allowed to live. What they're building is a future where the poor are pushed further to the margins, where the billionaire class continues to exploit people and the planet for profit, and where those at the top carve out safe exits for themselves when the damage becomes irreversible. This isn't Republican versus Democrat anymore. That lie is over. This is tyranny versus democracy. Good versus evil, right versus wrong, light versus shadow. And history tells us exactly what happens if people stay silent. There's a moment in The Handmaid's Tale, right before a woman is executed, where she screams the truth at the crowd. Rise up, fight for your rights. Don't let the bastards grind you down. That's not fiction anymore. That's the moment we're living in. The country knows it, and the world knows it. And Trump knows it too. Let's just hope we can rise up and stop it before it's too late. And that is an absolute fact. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.